Hey gang, and welcome back. This week we have another riveting game of EDH for your viewing pleasure. This week I'm playing Karador Ghost Chieftain, Joe has borrowed a deck and is playing Sigarda Host of Herons, Tom is playing Wrexial the Risen Deep, and Louis is playing Jareth Leonin Titan. For an opener, I keep Enlightened Tutor, Urbog Tomb of Yawgmoth, Wooded Bastion, Pernicious Deed, Oracle of Moldiah, Sylvan Library, and Survival of the Fittest. Louis keeps an opener, but unfortunately I can't read the cards. Joe's opener has Homeward Path, Shield of the Oversoul, Soul Ring, Plains, Genesis Wave, Cultivate, and Kadama's Reach. And Tom keeps an opener with Baleful Strix, 2 Islands, Swamp, Mirko Vosk, Fenax, and Rise from the Dark Realms. I win the dice roll and start us off. The first land to hit the field is a Swamp, and I pass to Louis. Louis, to the surprise of literally no one, plays a Plains and passes to Joe. Joe rips a great card off the top, drawing a Forest, and plays it, casting Soul Ring and passing to Tom. Tom plays a Humble Island and passes to me. I play a Wooded Bastion and pass to Louis. Louis, again, surprising no one, plays a Plains, but then passes to Joe. Joe's ramp game is on point, playing Homeward Path, and then casts Kadama's Reach, finding a basic to his hand and to the field. Unfortunately, Tom doesn't have a Swan Song, so the spell resolves. Tom's turn has him play a Swamp, cast Baleful Strix, and draw a second card for the turn before passing to me. My turn has Horizon Canopy come into play for my land, and I take 1 damage tapping it and Wooded Bastion to cast Sylvan Library before passing to Louis. Louis drops a Plains and passes to Joe. Joe follows Louis' example, playing a Plains and then casts Cultivate because 6 mana on turn 3 just isn't enough. With nothing else, he passes to Tom. Tom plays Nephalia's Drownyard for his land and passes to me. During my draw step, I use Sylvan Library to allow me to keep 1 extra card at the cost of 4 life. I play a Plains and cast Quasali Pride Mage before passing to Louis. Louis plays his 4th land, casts Hero the Bladehold, and passes to Joe. At the end of Louis' turn, I use Quasali Pride Mage's activated ability to kill Joe's Soul Ring. Joe plays a Forest, casts Sigarda, and then casts Ethereal Armor on her before passing to Tom. Tom plays an Island and casts Bident of Thassa before passing to me. On my turn, I take another 4, keeping an extra card thanks to Sylvan Library. I play Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth before deciding to continue the Pain Train and take 6 damage from Toxic Deluge, wiping the board. Still not finished doing damage to myself, I take 1 from Horizon Canopy and tap it and Tomb to cast Survival of the Fittest. Louis misses his land drop and instead casts Citadel Siege, naming dragons. Joe plays a Plains and then casts a Johnny, Mentor of Heroes. With nothing else, he passes to Tom. Tom plays Duskmantle, House of Shadows, and casts Mirko Vosk before passing to me. For the first time in a while, I don't take damage from Sylvan Library, and instead play Homeward Path as my land for turn. I then immediately correct this fact, and take 1 from Horizon Canopy to cast Wood Elves. Thankfully, I find a Savannah instead of a Shock land, and then move to my combat step. Louis taps down my Wood Elves, and I move to my second main phase. I cast Oracle of Moldiah, revealing Farhaven Elf, but I don't have an extra land in my hand, so I have to pass to Louis. Louis once again misses his land drop, but this time he casts Opal Titan and passes to Joe. Joe plays a land and recasts Sigarda. This triggers Louis' Opal Guardian, transforming it into a 4/4 creature with protection from green and white. Joe ticks Johnny up by giving Sigarda a +1/+1 counter and passes to Tom. Tom plays Cabal Coffers for his land and casts Fenax before moving to combat. Using the trigger from Citadel Siege, Louis tries to tap down Mirko Vosk, but in response, Tom taps him thanks to Fenax and causes Louis to mill 4. With nothing else, he passes to me. On my turn, with my Sylvan Library trigger, I show everyone the top 3 cards as Oracle forces me to reveal them. Unfortunately, I forget to reveal the 4th card, which is a bit of a misplay, but it happens. I choose to keep Birthing Pod, and then cast Buried Alive to shuffle up my library. I put Recruiter of the Guard, Birds of Paradise, and Apprentice Necromancer into my graveyard. I then pay 3 mana and 2 life to cast Birthing Pod, and use Birthing Pod's activated ability, paying 1 mana and 2 life again, to sacrifice Oracle of Moldiah and go find a 5-drop. Having done this all in my first main phase, Louis is able to tap Reviarch as we have to go through my combat step before I can pass my turn. Louis plays Always Watching, but having the weakest board state, he doesn't attack anyone and instead passes to Joe. Joe plays a Plains and casts Idyllic Tutor, finding Mirari's Wake. Paying 5 mana, he casts Mirari's Wake, and then taps 1 Plains to get 2 mana and casts Spirit Link on Sigarda. He upticks a Johnny and passes to Tom. For Tom's turn, he casts Demonic Tutor, finding Urborg, having forgotten that I played it much earlier on in the game. He taps the Cabal Coffers to generate a bunch of mana and casts his general, Wrexial the Risen Deep. Moving to combat, Louis tries to use Citadel Siege again and gets punished just the same, with Mirko Vosk milling him for 4. With Fenax now active thanks to the Devotion being hit, he swings the Deceptive God at Louis, getting blocked by the 5/5 Opal Titan. With nothing else, he passes to me. Once again, I decided not to take any damage from Sylvan Library, and instead just draw 1 card. I cast Sakura Tribe Elder, and then sacrifice Reviarch to Birthing Pod. Using Reviarch's trigger, I bring back Recruiter of the Guard and Apprentice Necromancer. I grab Sun Titan with Birthing Pod, bringing back Wrexial Pridemage, and Recruiter of the Guard nicely puts Eternal Witness into my hand. Moving to my combat step, Louis taps down Sun Titan and I pass to him. Louis plays a Plains and then casts Crusading Knight, a meager 2-2 that suddenly transforms into a 27-27 thanks to Urbor being on the field. Moving to combat, Old Titan comes swinging at me for 5 damage, but thankfully Apprentice Necromancer stumbles and gets in its way. With nothing else, he passes to Joe. Joe unleashes a Genesis Wave for 15 because, that's not huge enough. Among the permanents he hits, he finds Solemn Simulacrum, Verduran Enchantress, Blazing Archon, Linvala, Eldrazi Conscription, Sage's Reverie, Aura of Silence, Sphere of Safety, and a few less relevant goodies. He also gets to draw a boatload of cards, which isn't too bad. Joe then plays Serra's Sanctum, which is able to tap for more mana than Cabal Coffers currently can, and casts Shield of the Oversoul on Sigarda. He then casts Unquestioned Authority, drawing more cards and further increasing the ridiculous size of his general. For the icing on the cake, he upticks a Johnny, giving Sigarda a +1/+1 counter. Moving to combat, Louis taps down Blazing Archon, but then gets blown away by a giant Sigarda in the sky. With nothing else, he passes to Tom. Moving straight to combat, Tom is unable to attack Joe, so he swings all of his creatures at me. Concerned that Tom might find an answer in my graveyard, Joe causes Wrexial to deal no damage thanks to Core Haven. As I'm already at a fairly low life total, I block Fenax with Sakura Tribe Elder, unable to sacrifice it because of Linvala, and can't block Mirko Vosk. The vampire never gets a chance to deal damage to me, however, as Ink Eyes replaces him with her sweet ninjutsu. I take 5 damage from the Rat Ninja, and Tom gets to bring back my Reveillark. Tom plays Temple of the False Gods and passes to me. Seeing an opportunity to get back my Reveillark, I use Homeward Path to steal it back. During my first main phase, I pitch Eternal Witness to go find Bane of Progress. I cast the 6-costing Elemental, but Joe responds by sacrificing Aura of Silence to kill Mirari's Wake, denying 2+1/+1 counters to my Bane of Progress. It still ends up with 13+1/+1 counters, so it could have been worse. Moving to combat, unfortunately Blazing Archon is still in the field, so I have to attack Tom, swinging Sun Titan at him to return Eternal Witness, which returns Toxic Deluge to my hand. Tom takes 6, and I pass my turn. Joe's turn sees him start to build up his board again, and he casts Argothian Enchantress before casting Rancor to draw 3 cards and give his commander +2/+0 and trample. He casts Angelic Destiny, and then moves to cast Ancestral Mask, but Tom puts a stop to it, countering Mask. Continuing to add to the pain train, he casts Unflinching Courage on his commander. Then, using the last remaining of his mana, Joe casts Sakura Tribe Elder and sacrifices to go find a basic. He upticks a Johnny again, adding another counter to Sigarda before swinging at Tom. With no flying blockers, Tom can do nothing but take 16 commander damage to the face. With nothing left to do, Joe has to discard from his hand until he hits 7 cards. Tapping Temple of the False Gods to activate Cabal Coffers, Tom casts Ob Nixilis Reignited and uses his -3 to destroy Blazing Archon. Using the remaining black mana floating around in his pool and tapping 2 blue, Tom casts Traumatize on Joe. Moving to combat, thanks to Blazing Archon having bitten the dust from Ob Nixilis, Tom swings Wrexial at Joe, who, thanks to Urborg, is able to connect and allows him to cast Swords to Plowshares on Linvala. Using his remaining mana, Tom forces Joe to mill 3 thanks to Nephalia Drownyard. For my turn, I miss my land drop, but I cast Enlightened Tutor, finding Martyr's Cause and putting it on top. I sacrifice Horizon Canopy to draw the card off the top of my library, which we all know is Martyr's Cause. I cast Martyr's Cause and then move to combat, swinging my Bane of Progress and Sun Titan at Joe. Sun Titan's ability triggers and I return Survival of the Fittest before Joe chump blocks with 2 of his enchantresses. Joe's turn has him missing his land drop, and he casts Aura Shards, which allows him to draw thanks to his 1 remaining enchantress. Realizing how few cards he has in his deck, he tries to follow up by casting Leyline of Sanctity, but in response I use Wrexial Pridemage to blow up Aura Shards, and Tom taps his creatures to force Joe to mill most of his remaining deck. Unfortunately, Argothian Enchantress isn't a May ability, and Joe is forced to draw a card, bringing him 1 step closer to milling out. Joe uses a Johnny's second ability, finding Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite, and putting it into his hand. He then tries to bring out his big beaters by casting Dragonlord Dramoka and Elish Norn. With Elish Norn on the stack, I sacrifice Recruiter of the Guard to Martyr's Cause. The source I choose to prevent damage from is Sigarda, and the target is myself. With his choices of who to attack severely limited, Sigarda smashes into Tom, killing him. Doing a quick tally after Tom's death, Joe comes to the conclusion that I'll be able to stall out the game for more turns than he has cards. Having seen the remaining few cards in his library, he knows he has no answers, scoops it up, and we move to the next game. So, a quick rundown of this game. Sigarda is a beast. A commander with built-in protection and evasion is always going to be difficult to deal with, especially when she's able to fly over most creatures early on and smash in hard. Joe was also really lucky keeping a hand with no forests and still managing to ramp as hard as he did. It's a shame Louis got blown out so early. His Jareth deck is full of a lot of fun old cards which I'd never seen before, much like Crusading Knight, which could have been a huge beater had it been able to connect once. It was only fair though, as Louis was the one who killed Joe early on in the last game. Tom's Wrexial deck was really interesting. I found it a lot more powerful than Fennex, as he was able to use a lot more of the graveyards he got as a result of milling. Karador, as always, performed admirably, and Martyr's Cause has once again solidified its place in my heart as one of the best sacrifice outlets to protect yourself. Anyway gang, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. Please be sure to check back at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time every Monday for new gameplays, deck techs, primers, top 10s, and pretty much anything else I can think of. As always, thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.